Well, hello. I'm here with Travis Phillips, senior pastor of New Life Evangelical Free Church in West Haven, Connecticut. Travis, good to see you today.
Hey, Sam.
Want to ask you a few questions just so we can kind of get to know you a little bit here. So
Sure.
First question, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, where you're from, and how you came to New Life.
So my name is Travis Phillips. I am from Ballston Lake, New York, which is a little town just south of Saratoga Springs, New York. So upstate New York, which is a pretty broad area, but more like the eastern part of upstate. And been married to a wonderful gal named Jamie, and we've been married for over 5 years now. It'll be 6 come September. And we have a daughter, just one child at this point, who will be 17 months in about 9 days. And we ended up at New Life through a really neat process, because Connecticut was never on my radar, let alone the southern part of Connecticut. But I stumbled upon this opportunity. I forget if it was on Gordon Conwell's ministry job board or Denver Seminary, but I saw that New Life Church in West Haven, Connecticut was looking for a part-time pastor, assistant pastor, to be mentored by and eventually replace the soon-to-be retiring pastor. And I thought that was just such an attractive model that I've never encountered before, and that is what started the relationship, if you will, with my church right now.
Yeah, I love that story. It's been really neat to see how your relationship with Bill developed, and then how that really worked well for the church. That kind of mentoring and then handoff, and so that's neat hearing how that began.
Oh yeah, it was.
Second question for you: tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey. How did you come to know Christ?
So I came to know Christ in middle school. I think the summer break between 6th grade and 7th grade. Prior to that, my mom felt it very important for me to be a part of church life. So I was a part of the children's ministry. I went to Awana at a different church and was involved in the Sunshine Singers, so the children's choir. And I was a very shy boy, but I could express myself and kind of get a little bit more confidence through singing. Not my own music, but singing was a way I kind of found my voice. And I was so that summer break between 6th grade and 7th grade involved a youth camp at Sacandaga Bible Conference, which is in upstate New York. And it was Camp Breakout. And I remembered that we kind of focused in on Jesus and substitutionary atonement, if you could believe it. But of course, if I remember right, the speaker did not use that term, but that's definitely what the teaching was related to. And there was this one night when we had the option to, okay, the night session was over. You can go to the snack bar, or you can stick around and continue to sing some songs, continue to pray and whatnot. And I just really felt stirred to stay. And while doing this, singing these songs that I've known for years, all of a sudden it felt like God was present. And I had this profound sense of how clean and how pure God is, and how just the opposite of that I was. And the thought of, why would God want to put my dirt on his pure son? And why would Jesus endure all that? It really shook me, brought me to my knees. And I remember just like being very emotional, which as a shy boy, that was just devastating, but that didn't matter, because it was just, why God? The next night there was an altar call. And again, being very shy and also thinking through the implications of, man, if I do this, there's no going back. Like, I have to be all in. And thankfully, God just kept stirring, kept pushing, kept drawing me forward, but also towards himself. And I responded. So yeah, that was middle school, and that kind of started this wonderful journey.
I love it. I love it. Sunshine Singers.
Yep.
That's great. So cool to hear how God used that love of song to really stir your soul. That's great. Next question. Tell us a little about your call and preparation for ministry.
Sure. So from there, just really enjoying my relationship with Christ, enjoying my relationship with my church family that I grew up in. Really plugged in hard to youth group, and eventually became a servant leader in youth group, and just finding out all different ways to be an active member of my church. I really had a wonderful home church who helped me kind of get confident and just modeled Christ and a love for people. So then as I'm in high school thinking, well, what career path do I want to go down? Because I really have no idea. There's nothing that really captures my attention long enough. But I knew that wherever I was going to end up, I was going to be very active in a local church. That was not even a question. I had a huge value for the ministry, huge love for God and the gospel, and seeing how the gospel is the power of salvation, and not just saved to someday live in heaven, but that actually does saving work here and now, and how God continued to use that in my own life. It was like, yeah, without a doubt, whatever I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be actively involved in a church and actively involved in teaching maybe, or whatever. I'm fine. Just put me somewhere in a church body and I will serve faithfully. And kind of that's how God used that. Eventually it was my youth pastor and other people within the church saw God's calling in my life kind of before I did. So there was no real burning bush moment, but it was enough people that made me think, okay, well, maybe I'll go to a one-year Christian school. So I went to Berkshire Institute for Christian Studies in Lenox, Massachusetts. Really grew during my time there, and had a solid biblical worldview to see, oh my gosh, archaeology supports our faith, and our faith is logical, it makes sense, and it has implications that, again, have weight to them, not just wishful thinking. So then I went back for a second year, and it was during that time when God kind of shaped that love for his church to a call towards pastoral ministry. Went on to Lancaster Bible College down in Pennsylvania, got a degree in Bible ministry with a minor in pastoral, because again, I really kind of wanted to get as much Bible as I could, but also church leadership. And then I've been going through Antioch School of Church Planning and Leadership Development, taking classes part-time, which is further just kind of stirred my heart and shaped my thinking in that matter. So yeah.
Great. Last question for you. What do you like to do for fun? Hobbies, interests, etc.?
Aha. I like to play Frisbee. I like to play ultimate Frisbee, yes. But what I really enjoy is having a nice big field and a good group of people, even if it's just one other person, and just tossing. I can do that for hours, to the point when you go home, you're like, man, my chest is killing me. Why? And it's like, oh, of course, because I was doing this action, for about 3 hours in the hot sun. So I like Frisbee. I like fishing. I like camping. I like swimming. Not really doing laps, but more just being in the water. So if you want to say like what might a Sabbath retreat look like for me, it would be with some other people, who can kind of go deep and go random in conversation, but ideally it would be by a lake. Ideally, we'd have a canoe, and in that canoe would be my fishing pole. And then after fishing for hours, kind of come back, eat food, go swimming, and bring the frisbee in the water so you can toss frisbee while swimming. That would be perfect. So I don't really have any like cool hobbies that are like, wow, you're really good at leatherworking or woodworking. Not really so much with my hands. But I also enjoy taking care of reptiles. So I made the commitment to my wife to only own 2 reptiles at a time. Because when I grew up, I had like 12 lizards at once.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Well, next time I'm at Camp Spofford with you, frisbee's on.
Really? I will take you up on that, Sam. I have 2 in my car.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like a plan. Well, Travis, thanks so much for sharing a little of your story with us. We're thrilled that God's called you to West Haven, and really looking forward to see how God uses you in ministry there over the coming years.
Definitely, and thank you. And I am really grateful for our friendship, and look forward to continuing that and working along with the other NITA pastors. I've just truly enjoyed my experience moving into Connecticut. Very valued.
That's great. We'll see you soon.
All righty.